Hey, you guys. Thanks for joining me. Hello and happy pre-holiday season. I am excited that you're here with me today to make my one pot beef and orzo, which I think is a great weeknight meal. It's a one pot meal ready in less than 30 minutes. And I think that's especially important this time of year when things are getting hectic and chaotic. I don't know how you feel, but I'm starting to have my lists are getting longer and longer and longer of things I want to do before next Thursday. And then it's going to be even longer before I get to the rest of the holidays. So hoping that this is a meal that you can use during these crazy times. I see that Lisa Marie is already here. Christy's already here. I would love to have you join, say hi, tell me where you're from, and ask me questions as we go along, because there are many different ways to adjust this dish to suit your needs, whether you want it to be a poultry-based dish or a gluten-free dish, or add more veggies to it or whatever. So if something springs to mind, please type in your question and I will get it and I will answer it as we go along. All I have to do is kind of lean in and I read, hi, Connie, nice to see you. And Hannah's here. So welcome. I'll get started and then I'll talk a little bit about this dish and some other things and any other questions that you guys may have. We'll get going. So first thing I'm going to do that I've already done is I got this pan hot over medium-high heat so that it was ready for me when I was going to go in with a pound of ground beef. So, the worst thing is when you get the beef in there and you don't hear the sizzle, you want to have your pan hot and ready, and prevents sticking, and it makes great caramelization. So the pan should be hot, feels hot, got hand over it. Just a pound of lean ground beef. You can use 90%, 85%, 80%. If you're using a higher fat beef, you may just have to drain the beef after it's browned, but any of them work. Can you hear that sizzle? That's what I was going for. And I know Lisa Marie had the question, can you use ground turkey or ground chicken? Absolutely. When using ground poultry, you may have to put a little oil in the pan first to prevent it from sticking. So that's my only recommendation. Just get a nice little sheen on the bottom. And then you can do ground turkey, ground chicken. They both work great. Here's a tip that I don't know if you guys have seen this, but when you're putting like a pound of ground beef in the pan and you want to break it up, you have to kind of stand over it. Has anybody tried using a potato masher? I mean, this is going to be out soon enough, right? For next week and the week beyond. So this helps you break the meat up and all that extra work. I think it's a cool tip. Let's see if there's another question there. Can you use, oh, yes. So Christy says, can you use any pasta or rice instead of orzo? So absolutely. This, for a gluten-free dish, you can use rice, long grain white rice, brown rice. It would change the cooking time because this orzo cooks in less than 10 minutes. So with rice, you would have maybe 20 minutes. But it definitely works. The liquid would probably be about the same, but you could just keep an eye on it. How great is that? This is the way to break up the meat quickly while it's browning in the pan. Who else is with us today? We already said hi to Hannah. So you guys have to throw me some questions because this dish is very easy. I'm not going to have a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of flavor, but it gives me plenty of time to talk to you guys, see what's going on, see if you have any questions about Thanksgiving prep, holiday prep. There's so much going on in the next couple of weeks. Anything I can do to help make your life a little bit easier, that's what I'm here for. If you guys are Craftsy, if you're familiar with my shows on Craftsy, 2 new ones. I have an easy substitutions class that came out the end of October. That's great for like Lisa Marie said, can you use chicken or turkey? And Christy said, can you use rice instead of pasta? This is exactly what the substitutions class is about. If you are avoiding dairy, cutting back on carbs, eliminating gluten, each recipe gives you an option so that you can still make the dish. So that's my easy substitutions class. And then last week, my comfort foods class dropped November 3rd. So that's a really fun class. All the comfort foods that we know and love in this country. And coming up, I have a comfort foods from around the globe. So that's a super really neat one too. So this is the season for comfort food. And then in January, I promise I'll be dishing up some healthy new year recipes. Jenna, hi Jenna. What a good way to make sure your beef or turkey doesn't get dry in a one pot. Oh, what is a good way to make sure that your beef or turkey doesn't get dry in a one pot recipe? Well, here's why I think it does get dry, especially turkey. You let it over brown in the pan. So then all the protein is seized. They can't even absorb the flavor of the herbs, the spices, and the liquids that go into the pan. So the minute that this is browned, I'm not going to let it get dry and crumbly, which is probably what I'm thinking happens or what you've experienced. So really, I'm just going for the pink to be gone. We're not going to have like a little crumbled, overcooked beef in this pan. Maureen, did you mention the meat fat ratio 80-20, 93-7 question mark? I did, and I said it doesn't matter. So this is probably, I feel like I bought 90-10, but this works with 85, 80. And I mentioned that if you are using a higher fat beef, there might just be some extra fat in the pan before you add the rest of your ingredients that you can drain off. And what I like to do, so in recipes, they'll say drain the fat in a colander and return it to the pan. Now you have a colander to clean, like a greasy colander. So what I like to do, see if you can see, is there's not much fat in this, but let's just say there was. I send it to the side and I put a paper towel in to blot the grease, and then I just throw the paper towel away. You also don't want to be pouring grease down your drain. So the best thing to do is to just tilt your pan, get the grease on one side, and mop it up with a paper towel. Let's see, we have Cheryl from, what does that say? Where are you? Oh, in Washington. Thanks for joining. And then I have another question. Instead of buying Italian seasoning, what are the proportions of the individual seasonings? Okay, this is great. You guys clearly read the recipe ahead. So, because that's going to be one of the next things I add, is Italian seasoning, which is a blend. So brands vary, but it's a blend of basil, oregano, parsley, thyme. Some have rosemary. They're almost all salt-free. So my recommendation is to do a 1/4 teaspoon or a 1/2 teaspoon of each of those. So basil, oregano, parsley, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, and a 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary. But you really don't need all 5 or however many I just said. You just need like that medley. I love it because it's a one-stop shop. I don't know. I mean, the brands don't matter. So, I mean, McCormick, everybody, all the big brands make that. And I love it because it is like a one-stop. But if you want to make this dish and you don't have that, just pull out those other kind of Mediterranean herbs and do about a 1/2 teaspoon of each, except for rosemary and thyme, which are stronger. Do a 1/4 teaspoon there. I hope that answered your question. Hi, Viv. Who says hello from Michigan? NH. Hi from Michigan. I'm so glad you're all joining me. Is it cold where you all are? Because I love the cold. I moved from Arizona a year ago, September, and I love these cold mornings. There was frost on the grass today. There was frost on my car. I didn't even have an ice scraper. I didn't own one for 20 years. I bought one last week in expectation that I may need it. I haven't needed it yet. Okay, now we got the beef is not overcooked. The pink is gone. So to answer that earlier question about preventing it from drying out, stop there and don't keep going. That would be a good time to maybe have the onion pre-chopped or chop it while it's cooking so that you can get it right in the pan, so that the beef isn't cooking while you're chopping. So here we're just going to get this onion a little bit soft. We're not going for color. We're just going to soften it a little bit. Let's see if I have any other questions. Hey, Candace, is there a specific gluten-free orzo brand? I have not seen gluten-free orzo, but I have seen plenty of gluten-free small-shaped pastas. So you don't have to use orzo. That's what I would recommend. And again, as I was saying earlier, you could definitely use rice. You could use long grain white, jasmine, basmati, brown. I'm a big fan of the rice medleys. I don't know if you've seen those, but not sponsored, but Rice Select makes it's called Texmati. I think it's got Texmati, basmati, white, brown, and red. You can throw that in there too. And rice will take a little bit longer, like 15 to 20 minutes instead of the 9 to 10 that orzo does. But it absolutely works and will make a gluten-free one-pan meal. Because the whole point of this recipe is that it's made in one pan. And because it's made in one pan, the pasta absorbs all the flavor of the sauce instead of water and then adding it. And now, of course, it'd still be a delicious dish, but it's even more delicious because the pasta absorbs all the flavor of the herbs, seasonings, onion, garlic. Any other? All right, I'm caught up with my questions. Guys, bring me those questions. And it doesn't have to be about this dish because, you know, I know that next week can be a stressful time for many people to try to get all the different elements of Thanksgiving on the table, assuming you're hosting. And even if you're not, if you're bringing a dish to a friend's, I mean, it's like, what dish do I bring? Or, you know, so if you have any questions about that, it's one of my favorite countdown things to do. I make very similar thing every year, and I have a little checklist of when I can do how far in advance. You'd be surprised how much you can do in advance so that you can actually enjoy yourself on Thanksgiving Day, just by reheating and basting. That's it. Jenna asks, what do you eat for breakfast on Thanksgiving morning when you're hosting? There isn't much kitchen space at my house, LOL. That's funny because we eat early. So 1 or 2 o'clock we try to eat. It's really the turkey's decision, like if it's ready, but that's the goal. So my boys don't like to have a big breakfast because they want to be extra hungry for an afternoon Thanksgiving. So I have in the past just done like scrambled egg whites with some Parmesan cheese. I've done like little mini breakfast tacos, super easy. I mean, you have a bowl of eggs, tortillas, and some chopped onion and vegetables to go on top. Avocado toast would also be easy and delicious for a Thanksgiving morning and not something that you would be having later in the afternoon. So yeah, it's funny because I was just thinking about, I wonder what time we're going to eat this year. It's really going to depend on the turkey. And what are they going to want? So they're college kids, they're coming home and I haven't made breakfast for them since the summer. So we'll see. Barb says, please suggest the best veg. Should carrots be pre-cooked a bit? Okay, so Barb, yes, because I did mention in the beginning that you could add vegetables to this to make it like definitely like an all-inclusive, don't eat anything on the side situation. Carrots, I would add when you added the onion. So to give them 3 to 5 minutes to soften, I would add celery. At the end, I would throw in some frozen green peas, like a half a cup of green peas at the end, just let them soften. What else will I put in here? Bell peppers, add when you add the onion. So you got bell peppers, carrots, green peas, green beans. They would all be fabulous in here. And you would add like the carrots and the celery in the beginning and any frozen vegetables that you have, you would add them right before serving, just to get them to heat up. You don't really need to cook frozen vegetables. Hope that answered your question. Patsy says hello from Nebraska. Thanks for joining, you guys. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to add some seasoning now. So this is what we talked about, the Italian seasoning already. So it is a blend of oregano, basil, rosemary, thyme, parsley. It depends on the brand. You can flip it over and it'll tell you. This one says oregano, basil, marjoram, sage, garlic, and oregano. So it's oregano. Oh, the oregano is organic. So basically that's what you would need. They're almost all salt-free, so you don't have to worry about the salt. I'm going to do a teaspoon, measure in my hand. There's so much aroma and flavor in Italian seasoning, so it should, oh, it smells so good already. It's a spice rack staple for me. Then some salt and pepper. Did I forget the garlic? Yeah, I forgot the garlic. So I'm going to use dried minced garlic. I love this because I can throw it in this pot. I know that I'm not going to burn the garlic. I throw it in when I add the dried herbs, give it a minute to kind of release its flavor. It's literally dehydrated minced garlic. I like it a lot better. I'll do about 2 cloves. I like it better than the pre-minced stuff that you find in the produce department. Again, a couple different companies make it. It's good to have in your pantry for when you're like, oh, I don't have garlic, but I really want to have it. And I also think it's less pungent. It's got more of a toasted garlic flavor. So I love it. I love it. I love it in salad dressings because it's not going to be cooked off. I just think it doesn't have, you know, garlic, if you've had fresh garlic, obviously, like you can basically taste it for the next 2 days, not with the dried minced garlic. So I'm just giving this like 30 seconds and you'll know because it'll, the aroma, you'll smell the herbs releasing their oils into the mixture, which is what we're going for. We don't want to put the dried herbs in when you add the liquids because you want to give them a head start to kind of release their oils and their floral quality. Any other questions? Oh, Christy, any ideas for a food gift? I wish I could show you what's in my freezer. People love, well, I don't know, food gift, you mean like you're bringing to someone's house? Because I think, well, if you watched a couple weeks ago, I made those pumpkin truffles. Those are amazing. I have, I just posted on my blog these cookies that are chocolate chip cookies, but they have caramels on top. I used, so good. I'm just gonna salt and pepper. Is this the best invention ever? Like have freehand, because you're salt and peppering. By the way, the last time I used this in front of my son, he said that's completely unnecessary. I also like to have this, but I like it. It's necessary for a home cook, right? If it's going to make our life easier. So another food gift, let me think. I have hummus recipes that I love coming to somebody's house, especially if they're like vegan or vegetarian hummus, and then some pita that they can warm up in their oven. I have a lemon loaf, banana bread that I love to make and bring. What else would I'm trying to think what I would bring, because people love when you bring something cool. I have a sun-dried tomato hummus, a massaged kale hummus. So those would be cool. If I didn't answer your question, you can just tell me I didn't and say, Robin, I need more ideas. Let's see if I got that. Okay. You could also do, like, I don't know if you're into jams or vinaigrettes, making your own dressing, things like that. Those are super fun. You get a pretty bottle and then you leave the bottle as a gift. All right, this smells fantastic. So now I'm going to add 2 cups of beef broth. You can use reduced sodium or regular or bouillon and 2 cups of water, or better than bouillon and the equivalent, you do a teaspoon for 8 ounces, I think it is. But I just actually went with the, good old fashioned regular beef broth. So we're going to add that. I'm going to crank up the heat a little bit because I want this to come to a simmer, low boil, basically. When you're making this dish, you want to use a high-sided skillet like this so that it doesn't boil over. Make a big mess. Keep bringing me your questions. Again, it doesn't have to be about this dish. Maybe you guys can tell me what you're doing for the holidays, like what your favorite side dish is, what the family would be angry if you didn't make it this year. So, I try to do one new thing a year, but I have to have all the mashed potatoes, stuffing, turkey. The cranberry sauce has to be in a can, like the canned, but I can have a different one on the side. My wild mushroom gravy. But so this year I'm going to do something with a butternut squash. I'm not sure what yet, but I am going to do a butternut squash. I just added a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. You can use any brand, doesn't matter. I think I just saw Mary Ellen. Is this recipe adaptable to the crock pot, slow cooker, or Instant Pot? Yes. You know your machines best, but I say that still always brown the beef first. To me, then you're ending up with 2 things to clean. However, if you really want to just like put it in and let it go, then you want to brown the beef, do what I did with the onions and the seasoning, put it in, like do everything that I'm doing now and just do it on low though for a longer period of time if you're going to be using the slow cooker. Same thing with the Instant Pot. You know your machines the best. So however long it takes for you to cook your pasta in there, then you can but I wouldn't change the ratio of anything. The measurements work: 2 cups of broth, one can, 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. But I really feel like it's hardly needed because this is only taking me this long because I'm talking. So really, if I wasn't talking, I would have already brought this to a boil. The pasta would be it's ready in 20 minutes. So, that's my recommendation. And you get that good browning and caramelization on the bottom of the pan that you get to right now incorporate into the sauce. Let's see. Oh, do I have another? Okay, we do. Patsy, I use garlic powder usually, but I might have to try the dried minced garlic. Thanks for the suggestion. You're welcome. And I love garlic powder too, but again, there's something about the dried minced that doesn't give you that pungency. So it's a toasted garlic flavor that gives you all the wonderful qualities you love about garlic without, the word pungent, is used but it's almost like too much. Sometimes fresh garlic is, not in a cooked dish like this, but this is like my go-to for all different types of things. It's what you would find in everything bagel seasoning too. So it's like that flavor. Hi, Angela. Hello from the DMV. Hello there. Is that the Department of Motor Vehicles? I don't know. You can let me know. So what are your favorite things that you're looking forward to in the holidays that we can all share, this Craftsy family? This is almost to a simmer and then I can get the pasta in. Can you, so Joyanta, sorry if I'm wrong with the names because I'm trying to read from here to there. Can you make this with lamb? Absolutely, you can make this with lamb. I wouldn't change a single thing. I don't think I would change a single thing. I might add some rosemary. I might finish it with rosemary or instead of the dried, because I find the dried rosemary is like woodsy. It often doesn't soften in a short cooking dish like this. But I think that would be fabulous. A little bit more like seasoning and then a hit of rosemary would really be fabulous. I am going to add, so this was the orzo that I bought. Remember when it was like hard to find the small pastas, pastina, you couldn't find orzo. It's back now, you can find it. But again, any small shaped pasta will work if you already have it. And if you already have rice to make this dish tonight with what you have. So we're gonna add 1 cup, so it's like vigorously boiling. If you guys can see this. That's where I want, not vigorous, I mean, sort of vigorous. 1 cup. And then stir it in, and then you just wait. Now all the magic happens. The pasta is going to absorb this deliciousness and be ready in 8 to 10 minutes. It really depends on the brand. I say 9 to 11, I think is what I wrote. This says 9. But it'll depend on the size of your pasta too. So if you're using like baby penne, or if you've seen the little mezze rigatoni, those are super cute, but they take a little bit longer. They might take like 11 minutes. So with orzo, it sticks. Unlike other pastas, it can stick to the bottom of your pan. So you want to just keep an eye on it. You don't have to really hover over it like I'm going to, but give it a stir every once in a while, especially in the beginning, to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Let's see if Joyanta adds, oh, we already got the lamb. Come on, guys, more questions. Or we already have this situated? We already know what we're doing here. What would we serve with this? That would be a question that I would put on my blog. I'd say, hey, what should I serve? So since we've got meat and a carb in one dish, I think you're fine just adding like a mixed green salad on the side, with a light balsamic vinaigrette, steamed broccoli. Maybe I love broccolini. I blanch it and then I roast it with just a little olive oil and some garlic. But those will be great. I mean, I love these one pot meals when they kind of take care of 3/4 of dinner, and then you can just add maybe a hunk of bread, salad, call it a day. What do we got? Maureen. Hey, Maureen. Would you consider a class after the new year on how to make risotto? If it terrifies me because it so often fails on cooking shows. That's funny. It does. I mean, I think that's why, that's the hook, is that it's actually not that hard to make, but to make it to his specification on the cooking shows that you're referring to. I don't think risotto is that hard. It's easy to make. I would love to do a risotto class to show that it's really not that hard. It does require you standing, like, doing this, and adding, there's just a couple tricks to risotto. You can't speed the process. You should have warm broth on the stove, and you need to be vigilant, but only for like 20 minutes. Then you stand there and you could be on your phone and stirring, and then like scrolling and stirring. So it's worth it. I make a fabulous wild mushroom risotto that I would be thrilled to come back. If everybody else thinks that's something they want to do, let's do it. Let's get it on the calendar. New year, new you, new risotto with no fear. I like it. I like it. It's a good idea, Maureen. Let's see. Oh, we got Cheryl. Sour cream twist rolls are a must at our family dinner. Otherwise, the men folk heartily complain. Sour cream twists. That sounds good. So is the sour cream in the dough? So I'm guessing it's like very interesting. I have not heard of those, and they sound delicious. I'm going to Google them when we're finished. Connie, what brand pot are you using? Do you recommend one brand over others? So this is a Viking. Yes, it's Viking. And no, I don't recommend. The only thing I recommend is a higher side, but I also don't recommend like a stock pot. I wouldn't do this in because I kind of So somewhere between a skillet and a stock pot, something with high sides. Cast iron would be great. The only reason I say not a higher stock pot is because the liquid kind of reduces better in these low, shallow skillets. It'll definitely work. But I kind of like how this thickens because it's got a lot of surface area and it's not too deep. But a brand doesn't matter because this is Viking, but I have all different brands. And I definitely could have pulled out a cast iron and done the same thing here. I also find that this cooktop that I'm using works better with these stainless steel pans. So if I was cooking over flame, I may have picked a different one, but I know that this is consistent with this portable cooktop and this type of pan. So I hope that answered the question. Really, you can't go wrong though with this dish. Patsy, I got a prime rib for Christmas. Oh my gosh. She got a prime rib for Christmas. Suggestions. Oh, keep it simple. I think keep it simple. What I love to do when I'm going to do something like that I can't mess up, I will Google and pick out only like the top 5-star recipes and then put them together in a way that I know that my family would like. So I like this cooking technique, this seasoning, but as long as they all have 5 stars, but I would definitely, with a prime rib, you want to keep it simple and let the meat shine. I think that would be perfect. I'm assuming you ordered it and then you're going to have it for Christmas. But yeah, that's my recommendation, because off the top of my head, I'd like to really get in there and dig and find more about what you have and what you're serving with it. But cool, I love it. And I do it like, I'm writing a recipe for chicken soup now for my column. And I have my favorite, but I'm also going to go out there and see what other people think is the best chicken soup. And I'm going to incorporate, like I saw the one today, I didn't really like the herbs they used, but I like the thought of the noodle they used. So I put it all together to make the perfect ultimate, which is what my column pretty much is. It's the ultimate of whatever it is, apple pie, chicken soup. I did grilled cheese tomato soup last week. So this is already thickening and looking fabulous. Let's see. Christy, do you have a great way to make garlic bread? Oh, so I do. So what I like to do for garlic bread, I have 2 different, well, I'm going to give you this one because I like to get a loaf of Italian bread and do like Hasselback. When the Hasselback potatoes, you slice them, roast them, and they open up. So with garlic bread, but I always put mozzarella in my garlic bread. So I make a garlic butter on the cooktop with melted butter, fresh garlic. The cloves I take out. I've also cheated and used garlic powder. So that use your stovetop butter, and I always put parsley in that. Then you cut your loaf, brush both sides inside and out all the way down the line with this garlic butter. Then put in, well, if I do Hasselback, and you'll see this recipe is actually on my website. I think I call it Hasselback garlic bread. Slices of mozzarella, fresh mozzarella I used in there. And then you brush the whole top with the rest of that butter and you bake it until first you cover it with foil and you bake it for like 10 minutes. Then you uncover it and let the top get golden brown and the cheese gets all gooey. It's like pull apart garlic mozzarella bread. It's so good and everybody will love it. I highly recommend it. I hope that helped, Christy. Let's see. We make lasagna for Christmas, but this looks and sounds great for a cold afternoon or dinner. Absolutely. It's all the flavors of lasagna, right? I mean, it really is. You've got the tomatoes, the beef. The only thing you don't have in here is the ricotta. And what I've done in the past, I did this with a skillet lasagna. Actually, I think I did it on Craftsy. I did a skillet lasagna on Craftsy, and I found fresh ricotta in my grocery store, and I just did dollops of it on top. And then the freshly grated Parmesan cheese, which we're going to do. So you could do this, swap that out for your lasagna, and just do dollops of ricotta at the end. And a nice, cool, creamy cheese with this hearty dish. And you can make this even we're going to add crushed red pepper flakes because it's got a little bit of heat to it. So the cool, creamy dairy is really a nice complement to it. And let's see, Lisa Marie, my specialty is spinach casserole. Interesting. That sounds delicious, like a quiche. A spinach casserole. I love spinach. Now you're making me think I want to add some kind of a spinach thing to next Thursday. There's always that random veggie I want to do for something green at the table because a lot of Thanksgiving foods are brown, right? The gravy potatoes, or they're cream colored. Sweet potatoes and butternut squash. We're still talking in the orange brown realm. I love the thought of doing something with spinach. My kids love Love spinach. Cheryl, sour cream twist. Oh, sour cream in the dough. Spread the butter and cinnamon sugar. Oh, there's cinnamon sugar. Fold in half, cut 1 inch wide, twist it twice, place on a sheet pan, let it rise, bake powdered sugar glaze. Okay, y'all, that was Cheryl's. Remember we were talking about the sour cream twist? I don't know why I was thinking savory. That sounds amazing. So there's sour cream in the dough, and then you do butter and cinnamon sugar, twist them, and then serve them with powdered sugar. That sounds amazing. You could probably do that with store-bought bread dough. Probably do it with store-bought pizza dough. Probably would work if you just, I mean, you know, the sour cream in it, I guess that's kind of defeats the whole purpose. But I love the cheater's way to kind of get the same thought. I don't know how long this has been cooking, but it's like almost there. So I'm just going to keep talking and answering questions. Patsy, I ordered, oh, I think you're talking about the prime rib. I ordered it from a farm. This is my first time doing one. The Google idea sounds great. I'm a Google nut. I'm a Google nut too. And because I'm a big reviewer, like I also do reviews, but I really trust the reviews. I make sure that, you know, I read a bunch, and somebody has to have a lot of reviews, like, you know, hopefully over 1,000 people have reviewed that prime rib, for example. And it's not just food. I mean, you can imagine me moving across country. I didn't have a painter, a plumber, I needed someone to help me with the law. I didn't have any of those things. And Google has come to the rescue in a doctor, dentist, all that. So I do it with food, but I also do it for like my own personal needs. But I do trust, because unlike other sites where they say the reviews are not legit, I personally know that I've reviewed 24 things already, and I've given my honest opinion. So I don't know, can't hurt, especially when you got a prime rib from a farm that you don't want to mess up. And then you can Google, what should I serve with my prime rib? Should I do mashed potatoes? Should I do buttered noodles? Should I do, you know, broccolini? You know, these will be great with the flavors, so the flavors complement each other. Cindy, for the lady who is having the prime rib, here's your answer. We had roasted Brussels sprouts and homemade popovers. That's a great idea. And by the way, I have a restaurant style Brussels sprouts that I did for my column that is now on my blog that people went nuts for, nuts. So it's like two kinds of cooking methods, because you'll see they have the crunch, they have the caramelized exterior and the crunch, and the fork tender buttery middle. So for Brussels sprouts fans, and even those that are like, you know how it's all the rage now to have them at like bars and at restaurants to have the Brussels sprouts as an appetizer. Those are the ones I made, and those would make a great side dish any holiday gathering or any game day, honestly. So if you Google Robin Miller restaurant style Brussels sprouts, if you are looking for that recipe, and the popovers. I haven't done popovers in forever. You guys are getting me excited about new things I want to do. Linda was thinking of using Rotel tomatoes with green chili to add heat, or would it be too much? No, I'd absolutely Rotel, but Rotel is typically a 10-ounce can, right? And we used a 15-ounce can. So just if you need to, add more broth. But I think if you like the heat, which sounds like you probably do because you already have the tomatoes with the heat in it, because Rotel makes mild and hot. I say go for it. I say absolutely go for it. One can is not going to add too much heat to this entire dish. And then that would also be really good with the rice version too, to kind of keep the theme there. But it absolutely works. Love Rotel. Canned diced tomatoes too. Don't drain them. If anybody's thinking, oh, I don't have tomato sauce, but I have fire roasted tomato, you know, that all that works. Crushed tomatoes, pureed, whole. You just mash them up. We already used this. It's already out. You can mash the tomatoes. Let's see. A guest is asking Cheryl. Okay, so Cheryl, you have a question. Do you use crescent rolls to make or crescent sheets? Oh, is that the sour cream roll she's talking about? Because I think she might make her homemade dough with sour cream. Kind of get that impression, Cheryl. Cheryl, you're going to have to let us know. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, because I think it's spelled like Cheryl. So I hope that's right. So let us know about that dough, because if we can cheat and use crescent rolls and not have to like make a sour cream, then we can all make it sooner rather than later. So we are like home stretch here. Any other comments, questions? Anybody want to share anything else? It sounds like we're all helping each other here. This is awesome. I may have risotto on the horizon, thanks to Maureen. Yeah, let us know, Cheryl, about that. Maybe Cheryl's not, maybe she's already making this dish. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I plate this. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing great. So you see, if I wasn't talking, honestly, I'd be doing the dishes by now after dinner, especially the way how fast my kids eat. But this is how I like to serve it. This out of the way. I have that bowl just ready to roll. Oh, somebody's coming up. Oh, yes, I've made Brussels sprouts amuse-bouche by serving them split with bacon and caramelized onion bits on top. Oh, amuse-bouche. That's an underused saying. I love that. Bite-size. Pleasure, like bite-sized joys, amuse-bouche. Amusing, bite-size. That's a great idea. I feel like Brussels sprouts kind of are the star of the show this time of year. I mean, we enjoy them all year round, but don't you feel like they get more attention during the holidays? So that's a great idea, because that reminds me of like the restaurant style, because it's more like an appetizer than it is a side dish. Okay, so let's get this delicious. Can you guys see? I'm going to make sure you can see it. Cup thick and fabulous. This orzo absorbed all the flavor of the beef that was browned. Don't worry, I'll let you see closer. The aromatics, which are the onion and the garlic, the Italian herbs, tomatoes. So the pasta's like not white. It's the color of the sauce. Whoops. I used far fewer napkins than I usually do on these things, didn't I? Barely even. Let's see, can you see that? There we go. Oh, it's gonna pour out. Okay, let me make sure this doesn't overcook. Okay, so what I like to do is, I'm a big fan of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I know it's easy, the shaker style. I know, and I'm not going to say you can't use that, but I really think there is a huge difference. I mean, this is melting in. Grated right at the table. It's just like so fun and fresh, nuttier. There's much more flavor. There's no preservatives in it because it hasn't had to, be shelf stable. So do that. I like to do some crushed red pepper flakes for a little heat, totally optional. But I love that on top. I didn't use it all. And then some fresh chopped parsley or basil or nothing. If you have it, use it. If you don't have to. Oh, look how pretty that is. This is like colors of Christmas. Can you see? I want to make sure I don't spill it, but show you at the same time. There. I realized last time that it's hard to see when I just hold things up, but you can see how incredibly thick, how incredibly thick this got and luscious. Kids love it, adults love it. Now, what if you have leftovers? These leftovers will stay in the refrigerator in an airtight container for up to 4 days. You can freeze what's left over for up to 3 months. So I would just thaw overnight in the refrigerator before reheating. And to reheat, I'm starting to say this a lot. I like to reheat the way I cooked it. So I would put it back in a pan with a little bit more broth or even water and cook it that way. And I said that about my grilled cheese sandwiches. If you have leftover, reheat them in the pan the way you cook them, in a little buttered pan. So that way you always have it. I'm going to keep a stash of this. I'm going to put this in the freezer. So my boys have hunger pangs. I already know I have a delicious, easy, healthy meal, snack. It could be in between meals. Let me see if I have more questions. Okay, so we could use, I can't see the top of that. Let me see if I can, oh, here we go. Okay, Cheryl answered. Here we go. Everybody who's wondering, yes, you say it like Cheryl. It's a mildly sweet dough. You could use something like crescent dough, pre-packaged. It's a buttery dough. I've used 1 package active dry yeast, 1/4 cup of warm water, 1 cup of sour cream, 1 large egg, 3 tablespoons granulated sugar. So she makes her own dough, and a lot of it is a cup of sour cream. So it's going to give that tang, which partners perfectly with the cinnamon sugar and the powdered sugar that it's served with. So this sounds fantastic, Cheryl. Patsy, my family loves baked mustaccioli. Did I pronounce that right? And I may have that with the prime rib. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, yes. Because, the prime rib's the star of the show, but having some like carbs on the side, something starchy. How about the garlic bread that we talked about earlier? That would be fabulous. Linda, Linda says, thank you. I think the grandkids will love this. Yes, the grandkids will absolutely love it. And if you keep the crushed red pepper flakes off, it's completely mild. And if you use those Rotel tomatoes that are spicy, it's going to have a little bit of heat. But yes, absolutely. This is a kid favorite, easy to eat too, like with a spoon in a bowl. It's like pure comfort food. Connie, thank you, says it looks delicious. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think I did this I have it on my blog and now it's just one of those go-tos. And I love, because the whole point is during the holidays to have fewer things to clean. So this one pan goes to the sink, that's it. And that really, I think it sounds silly, but it makes such a huge difference when you go to the sink after dinner and you really see that you didn't pull 10 things out. You don't have a pasta pot. You don't have the skillet that you had, you have just one thing, and it makes life so much easier. Connie says, cooking this tomorrow. Oh, yay! Way to go, Connie. That's awesome. I'm glad. I want you to let me know what you think. So last time I did this class, a few weeks ago, I did the pumpkin truffles, and the next day, that night and the next day, I went in to make sure I didn't miss any questions. So and I think that was on Facebook, because I think this also streams on Facebook. So I will do that again tomorrow. So if you want to tell me what you thought, Connie, and if anybody has any questions after that you didn't think of during, I'm happy to follow up and walk you through it, or tell you what some of my thoughts were on swaps, whatever. Or even if it's not about this recipe, if you need a countdown to Thanksgiving tips or side dish ideas for your turkey, or I can direct you to things I've done on Craftsy, to my website and more. So let's see, let me see if I have any other questions, any other comments. I mean, I'm here. No more questions. No, it says no more questions with a happy face. Should be no more questions with a sad face. Again, if you think of something after tonight, I'm here. You can reach out. Oh, also, last time I gave my website out because I have a contact form on my website, and some people did follow up with questions directly to me. So my website is robinmillercooks.com, and the last tab over, it says contact, and you can send me questions that way. I usually respond same day, especially this time of year. If you're going to have like a pressing question for a family gathering, then I'd love to help you and hold your hand through that process and make it less stressful. So thank you so much for joining me. My one pot beef and orzo, my other classes. Oh, and tell all your friends about this smoking hot deal that Craftsy has for $1.50 for an entire year of premium. So that's a great deal. That means all the content is included. So all of my shows and all the ones that are going to come out in the future are included. So that's a really, good thing to let everybody know. It's kind of a big deal. So thanks again for joining me. From my kitchen to your kitchen, I wish you a wonderful holiday season if I don't see you before. And I really do appreciate you joining me. So take care, everyone. Happy holidays.